We're here today with Izzy, who heads up our telephone AI department. So welcome, Izzy.
Thank you.
And I think it would be a really good sort of intro if you just gave an overview of the three products that we've got within telephone AI.
So we developed Telephone AI because we were noticing one main problem with our clients, and that was the amount of leakage that was coming from the leads that we were generating. So they were paying lots of advertising spend, whether that be PPC, SEO, social, generating all these leads that can come in a variety of forms. They can come online, they can come through website forms, and the one that's mostly overlooked is the telephone calls. And the thing that we noticed was, firstly, many of those calls weren't answered. When they were answered, they weren't necessarily being handled in the correct way by the person answering them. That's where Telephone AI was born, and it's recently developed into three core pillars. That being Telephone AI Answer. So any calls that come into your business, the AI can answer them, qualify the lead, and take it in the correct direction wherever the business wishes that call to go. The second product within Telephone AI is Call, which is actually an outbound AI agent. So that can call en masse up to 1,000 people per hour. So it's great for businesses that need to sort of get to market on a volume and that sort of scale. And the final one is the training product, which can essentially listen to every single phone call that comes into your business, analyze what your current salespeople are already doing, and analyze how well that call is being handled based on a bespoke criteria. So we developed these three products to essentially solve the issue of data leakage within businesses.
So let's just do a bit of a deep dive into each one individually. So let's take telephone AI Answer, because there's obviously a lot of people out there, or certainly a few people out there, who are saying they'll answer the phone calls for you with AI. And our system is a lot more sophisticated than that, because yes, of course, there is missed calls outside of office hours. In most cases, those calls just completely go unanswered. So you should be doing that. Then we've got the calls that are missed within office hours. So what does Telephone AI Answer do over and above just answering the phone?
Well, I think a few things. The main reason why we develop these products is the data leakage side of things. So yes, it answers the phone. It can guide the customer all the way through the journey, whatever that may look like. But it can capture every single detail, the name, the telephone number, the email address, and inject that directly into your CRM. So you've got that data to go back on, to call back and essentially have on file whenever it's needed. The telephone AI is also very dynamic, so we could clone it to be your voice, any gender, any accent, anything like that.
Any language?
It can be any language, and it can also chop and change. So we've had a few instances where businesses have had people who are bilingual call up, and the AI has actually switched languages halfway through the conversation on demand where necessary, so it's easier for the user to navigate.
So yeah, it's much more sophisticated than just a telephone answering service. It can book appointments for you. It can put calls through human to human.
Yeah.
And I guess it can also pick up sentiments. So if you've got a frustrated client, it can create alerts for that. Go to the stakeholders. My understanding with it as well is it can also be a really good filter for the business. So say you get 100 calls a day, those you might get 10 nuisance calls. It can get rid of those. It can identify sales calls, put that through to the sales department, customer services through to customer services, maintenance through to maintenance, etc. And record all of that on the CRM. So the human actually needs to do a lot less or no typing at all now into the CRMs.
Yeah, exactly. And with this product, it's not about taking humans out of the equation at all. I think that's a common misconception with Telephone AI Answer is we don't want to get rid of our salespeople. We don't want to get rid of our receptionists. You don't have to. The AI is there to simply make your life easier and make sure that you can get from A to Z in a much more seamless process with all the resources that you need within that.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so I think I understand telephone AI answer. Okay, so let's have a look at the call, as in the outbound. Um, is this just cold calling, or what other things have we used it for?
We've used telephone AI outbound across multiple sort of sectors within businesses. So yes, it's great for the cold calling. We've had a few instances where people need to get to market and they want to do that on a volume basis. Telephone AI outbound has been a cheaper and better alternative for those kinds of businesses. But also we've had businesses use telephone AI outbound for things like chasing debts, chasing accounts, anything like that. Repetitive admin calls and things like that that are done by people that aren't the best use of their time. We can essentially implement telephone AI outbound to fill those roles.
I think there was a recent example where there was an exhibition company, so they were exhibiting,
Yeah.
and I think they used it to boost attendance.
Yeah, so we were working with an exhibition company and they were putting on an exhibition and they'd sold, I believe it was around 2,000 tickets for this exhibition for visitors. And they wanted to ensure that those visitors were going to attend the event. So they implemented telephone AI outbound to call those 2,000 people who had bought tickets and confirm their attendance. And this ultimately resulted in them knowing exactly how many people were going to attend and how many additional tickets they could sell.
Cool. Okay. Great examples there. So final product in terms of this suite is telephone AI train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me how that works.
So telephone AI train is sort of where this all began with the AI for us. So as I was saying before, we have many businesses with us who are spending a lot of money on marketing, and a lot of those leads turn into phone calls, which are then handled by the company themselves. And the biggest issue that we found with this is that the telephone calls weren't being handled in the most appropriate way. So we're able to provide our customers with a platform where they can analyse every single phone call, look at their best salespeople, see who's performing the best, see what's being said. But the great thing about this platform is you can also be alerted as soon as, say, a really good call comes in. So we had an example not too long ago of a call come in for a event centre. It was a huge gym brand. They wanted to book out one of their rooms, which is obviously a huge order value and a really great client to have on the books. Unfortunately, that call wasn't handled in the best way from that salesperson. Our AI train platform was able to pick up on that, send an alert directly to the stakeholder, and then the stakeholder was able to turn that around and book that in. So that's sort of where that sets us apart from that basis.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess there's a number of different sectors where this can fall in. I mean, we've covered the sales side of things. And I think, the important thing to say here is that in our experience, it isn't that the people are bad.
No.
It's the fact that, we make subjective views on people within a business, and we don't accurately assess the training needs that these people have got.
Yeah, so we sort of did a bit of research into the sales training. It's obviously a massive market in the UK, and there's many sort of sales training events and sort of lessons you can go to, but actually how much of that is relevant to that salesperson? For example, someone might be amazing at closing, but they're not great at objection handling. So let's just focus on objection handling and train them on that piece. And it might only take 20 minutes a week. But that is not only cheaper, but much more valuable for the business and for that individual to learn on the areas that they need to improve.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing with this is not a stick to beat people up with. This is an enablement tool. This is to help you identify training needs within the business, and to give senior managers a view on this. There's obviously the other side of things, which is compliance. So the telephone AI is listening to every single call. So in compliance heavy industries, insurance markets, etc., we can ensure consistent compliance with telephony. We can create alerts around that presumably. So I think, one of the best things that we've set up here at Pod is the complete sentiment analysis across email and telephony. So if a client calls up or emails and we sense any form of frustration, we can identify that well in advance. And that tends to mean that we get a much better outcome. So I think there's quite a variety of sort of solutions that we can offer here. And this sort of plays a part in our broader AI suite. But I think, you're doing a great job with the telephone AI, and, we'll come back and look at some examples in the weeks to come.